Welcome on into the podcast. I'm Brett,
I'm Dorian.
and we got some nerd news.
We got the news. So we're going to be
All the
talking
news.
all the news. So we're going to be talking some Knives Out 2. We're going to be talking about Nintendo's most profitable year ever, which kind of came as a surprise to me. And we're also going to be talking about Resident Evil 8. But first things first, Venom. Venom 2, Let There Be Carnage. We finally got a trailer for that movie. And if you haven't seen it, go watch it because honestly, this movie looks like a lot of fun. In all honesty, I mean, if I wasn't like a huge fan of the first movie, I thought it was just fine. But the best part of that last movie was Eddie's and Venom's relationship and all that, and how they basically kind of handled situations in life together. So looks like we're going to be getting a lot more of that. And then you got Woody Harrelson kind of being kind of creepy as Cletus Cassidy, but all in all, I mean, looks promising.
Yep.
What do you think here, Brett?
Yeah, I'm ready for this movie. I mean, I wish it would have came out last year, earlier, obviously.
Yeah.
I really liked the first Venom. I think I don't know, I thought it was a lot of fun. I really liked Eddie and Venom's dynamic, like you were saying. I thought the action was good. Yeah, it was just a fun movie. And I've always loved Venom and Carnage, even since I was a kid. So this is going to be like my childhood brought to life.
Yeah.
So
No,
I'm
I
excited.
mean, honestly should be a good time, but something that's not in the show notes. So, uh, obviously with Morbius, when we got the first trailer for that, that was showing that it has a connection to the MCU, at least
Oh,
in some
yeah.
way, shape, or form.
Mhm.
Andy Serkis, the director of the movie, basically said that as of right now, Venom still has no MCU connection. So kind of weird seeing how they're not like trying to have
Un
Morbius and Venom
un
somehow like connected at some point, but maybe that's just
Yeah.
yeah.
Until the movie comes out, then there'll be a connection
Yeah, I mean there is like a
because Tom Holland might show up.
right. Well, I mean people were saying that about the first Venom here too, um but I
That's
mean
true. Well,
but
they
there
shot something, I think, but they didn't put it in.
yeah, I mean, yeah. Until I see it,
But it's a rumor, so I don't know.
yeah, I
Yeah.
don't believe it, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, along with that, we got some Knives Out 2 casting, which is looking pretty dang promising at this point. I don't know why or how, but Ryan Johnson could get, it looks like, whoever he wants to be in his movies,
Yeah.
especially if you're part of the MCU. So, before we had obviously Captain America, now we got Drax coming in, Dave Bautista, and we got the old Hulk, Edward Norton. He's going to be joining. I love Edward Norton.
Mhm.
And then Catherine Hahn.
Yeah.
All of them are cast in the Netflix sequel, and production starts this summer in Greece. And I'm about it. I really like the first movie, and I'm excited.
Yeah.
Hopefully, this one's is just as good.
Yeah. I mean, no, I think like for this type of movie that they're going with, especially how much of like the cast did so much heavy lifting for the first movie, I don't think you could really have picked like anybody much better than these three for this type of movie here for certain here. So no, I'm definitely interested. Hopefully we get it maybe I don't know like next year sometime maybe at the earliest.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of Dave Bautista, he's not going to be Drax for too much longer, at least what he's saying. From recent interviews, he has strongly implied Guardians of the Galaxy 3 will probably be the last time he's playing Drax. He did say he'd like to see a standalone prequel movie that focuses on when, he was known as Drax the Destroyer, but he won't be playing him. So Bautista also recently said that he turned down, I don't know if you heard this, but a Fast and the Furious movie to pitch Gears of
I
War.
did, yeah.
So
Yeah.
there's a lot of Dave Bautista buzz. Honestly, this is weird to me that he would
Yeah.
say no to Drax because he's not really in too many other things to my knowledge.
I mean, I think he's actually been
I mean,
into in a decent amount here. Like he's had like some some like side movies, like doing comedy and stuff like that. Where
So yeah, okay. Let me rephrase that. He hasn't been in any big blockbuster movies beyond Guardians, if you want to put it that way.
yeah, like all the MCU stuff. He was
Yeah,
in the last James Bond movie here, so he and Daniel Craig will actually be reuniting for that movie here. But um,
yeah.
yeah, I don't know if like the new movie that's coming out with Zack Snyder's Netflix zombie movie, Army of the Dead, because I think he's the star of that
Oh
movie
yeah.
here. So I don't know if that's really considered
Hmm.
big budget blockbuster. I have no idea what that movie's looking like, just because I have like legitimately no interest in that movie. But yeah,
Same, same.
but in all honesty, I guess I kind of get why he's pretty much done, just because he was pretty vocal about when James Gunn got fired. He was very upset with Disney as a studio. And plus, I think, you're kind of getting to the point where I don't know how much more you can do with Drax here, just because it seems like for a lot of
Yeah,
the
he's
a lot of the Guardians cast, like they are gonna, like, Guardians 3 is probably going to be their last movie for the most part, just from what it's sounding like. So,
right. Yeah, we'll see what happens. But on the same Disney train, we got a couple more tidbits from them over there. Jungle
mhm.
Cruise is going to be coming to Disney Plus after all. So before they're like, nope, this is theaters only, theater exclusive. Now it's going to
Yep.
be on Premier Access and theaters on the same day. So yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, we're going to talk about more about that next, because so we'll kind of segue into it before we answer or talk about it. But Shang Chi only in
Yeah.
theaters for 45 days. There's no plans on bringing it over to Disney Plus
Yeah.
right now. The movie is projected to come out September 5th, and for me, this is a weird move. Like, why would you do a 45-day limited run? It's going to go digital right after that. It has to. Whether or
Yeah.
not that's
I
iTunes,
think,
Amazon, whatever.
yeah. I think the way the article like phrased it, um, I think is kind of weird, just because I stopped to think about it for a moment, and like pretty much before we had the pandemic, movies had by and large a 45-day run, or like a 2-month run in the theaters for the most part, and then they would leave for a couple of months and then come out digital,
Beyond.
Blu-ray,
Yeah.
yeah, all that stuff here. So
Yeah.
I like, maybe that's their way of saying that, yeah, this is going to be like our first movie that's going to actually be a normal theatrical release.
Like a
I don't
full run. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That
Um
that makes that makes sense, I guess. I don't know. Yeah.
I mean
I'm along the
I mean
same mindset as you, I guess. Like,
yeah. Well, especially after, like, obviously I feel like could probably be subject to change, just because when recording this, like, literally we're recording this the day after the CDC announced that you can go around without a mask if you're vaccinated. So obviously that's going to change the landscape of movie theaters and just life in general in the United States. So
it's gonna
we're
be normal, maybe ish.
how about that? How about that? It only took them like like
A year
about
too long.
a year and some change for that 2 weeks to slow the spread here, But anyhow, I digress on that front.
Yeah.
I think also with Shang-Chi, granted, I guess you could say the same about Jungle Cruise, but I don't feel like there's really like a huge audience that would pay the premium for that movie here, And I kind of feel the
Dude, it's
same
The
way.
Rock. It's the freaking Rock, man.
That's true. That is very true. But
Yeah.
Shang-Chi, I would definitely say I don't feel like, paying like, $30 for like a Marvel D tier character for the most part. Yeah.
Yeah. I wouldn't. Yeah, I wouldn't pay that.
Nah.
So You know what else is interesting? Zack Snyder doesn't know when to shut up. So
Yeah.
he keeps talking about his relationship with WB, what they thought of the Snyder Cut, how he felt. So why don't you walk us through kind of the drama that is Zack Snyder?
So basically, he's doing a lot of promo stuff for the new Army of the Dead movie that we mentioned earlier. It's supposed to come out on Netflix, I think this month. I don't know, but while we're promoting, his new movie, he was talking about, just how he worked with Warner Brothers. So he had some thoughts about also the next Superman movie that, we talked about last week, how it's going to have a black director, a black lead actor playing Superman. So, first thing, he said he was worried about getting sued by Warner Brothers for campaigning for the Snyder Cut. I'm like, yeah, kind of felt like he was definitely.
How would you get sued?
I mean, there could be like some agreement clause or something in contract or that that has
Yeah, I'm
specifics.
sure. Yeah, that's true.
I mean, maybe not. I don't know. Plus, I mean, Warner Brothers, they could hire some of the best lawyers to like even if you didn't sign a contract to do some legal
True.
jujitsu. So, second, so he also said that the studio has been aggressively against restoring the Snyderverse. He says, I quote, "What can I say? They're not interested in my take." But he also kind of undercut his own statement, saying that uh, that they weren't interested in like his take on Justice League either. After he filmed it and then got laid off, fired, slash had to go on like FMLA or something like that because of his daughter and whatnot. And yeah, so and then third, he's in full support of J.J. Abrams' Black Superman movie here. Basically saying it's a bold and cool move and probably long overdue. And then also some news that just broke today. Apparently uh, he revealed like what Green Lantern he was planning on using for the Snyder Cut, and it was going to be John Stewart, and it was going to be
Yeah.
played by Wayne T. Carr, and he was going to be in full costume and everything. So, but
Yeah,
because
there's a picture of it. I don't know if we could throw it up there, but
yeah, I'll throw it up there. But basically, the reason why they had a Green Lantern axed and put Martian Manhunter in there instead is because Warner Brothers had plans to do something different with the Green Lantern down the road here, which I mean, technically we're getting that Green Lantern show, which, who knows if that's officially going to tie into DCEU, maybe, maybe not. We'll see. So,
yeah.
so there's a lot to unpack here. So, I mean, for one, I kind of feel like him saying like he didn't want to campaign for the Snyder Cut. I kind of feel like is not quite
Oh, that's
accurate.
major bullcrap.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
I mean, definitely all your actors were for one, and then also you've publicly come out and talked about it like numerous times here. So I don't
Yeah.
quite, buy that you are afraid about getting sued, and uh, the studio being aggressively against restoring your Snyderverse. For starters, just be happy that you know, after you made Batman v Superman, that you actually got to like finish your version of Justice League here, it's like that's more
No
chances than
kidding. Yeah.
most people get here. And I mean, all again,
Oh yeah.
that's it's the better version of Justice League. I'm not denying that, but you know, like Warner Brothers, I think has its own thing. They're rebooting the DCEU, so you know, like you're kind of getting in the way of that, man. So yeah, of course they're not going to be interested in
Yeah.
your take. And then the him being in support of Black Superman. If Zack Snyder thinks something is a good idea, you should probably do the opposite of that. Here is typically how things
Yeah.
go.
Just run.
I mean, because here's the thing. I mean, I was thinking about this earlier this week here. Is just like, you know, we got Spider-Man. You got Peter Parker, you know, traditional Spider-Man, happens to be a white guy. But you also got Miles Morales,
Yep.
who's, the black Spider-Man, basically. And the reason why Miles Morales works versus I feel like this version of Superman doesn't work is because you're replacing something or you're doing something in lieu of something here, as opposed to like saying having like a character that complements what you're going on or what you got going on, as opposed to like taking away. Because I mean,
Yeah.
we still haven't gotten like like a Man of Steel 2 or anything like that, or we don't even know if Henry Cavill is even in the DCU anymore. It's like, who knows, So,
I
I
don't
mean,
know.
I don't endorse cancel culture, but if I did, Zack Snyder might be top of that list. I'll just leave it at that.
Okay. All right. Well, Poison Ivy is heading to the DCEU, maybe.
Maybe.
Margot Robbie keeps basically advocating for Warner Brothers to include Poison Ivy in upcoming movies. That sentence is surprising to me that she's actually going to be in more movies. I know she's going to be in Suicide Squad, but
Right.
she said she would love to see the relationship hit the big screen and see what trouble they could cause. And this is a huge thing in the comics, obviously. This totally
Yeah.
makes sense. It makes sense, and I don't know why they haven't yet. We'll see if maybe if they end up rebooting a Batman other than Robert Pattinson, because obviously Robert Pattinson isn't part of the DCEU. If they do it that way, and
Right.
obviously Poison Ivy could come into the fold in some way, or not, or just be separate, being
Yeah.
the next Birds of Prey or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah,
So
that's what we need. Birds of Prey 2 here, That's
yeah,
like let's forget like, restore the Snyderverse. Let's forget Man of Steel 2. Let's forget all that stuff. Let's get Birds of
Birds of
Prey
Prey
2,
too.
That's what the fans demand and want.
With the way
Yeah,
DC does movies, it would make sense.
honestly
But
it
yeah.
would. Yeah.
Anyway, it makes sense that she wants her. The dynamic between the two in the comics is an ongoing still thing. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, no, I mean it's definitely evolved since like, like uh to even like levels beyond just like friendship like and stuff like that too, but like nowadays I guess. But I mean, yeah, if they're just talking like, kind of the traditional way of like doing it where they're just kind of like besties or whatever and just like causing all sorts of mayhem, I'm into it. I mean, can we get Emma Stone as Poison Ivy? I mean, asking for a friend.
yeah. Sure. Uh,
Why
let's
not?
see. So MJ is confirmed for Space Jam: A New Legacy. He will, the source, but he will make an appearance in Space Jam: New Legacy per Don Cheadle. And the quote is, "Michael Jordan is in the new movie, but not in the way you'd expect." So don't know what that
Hmm.
means. Uh,
Maybe he's voicing a character or something.
I don't know about
I
that.
don't know.
You got to have his likeness in some way in the movie. I mean, half of me
Something.
doesn't want to see this movie because I cannot stand LeBron James as a player or
I,
an individual. So I want to watch it because
yeah,
I really like the franchise, but I'm
that's
excited that Mike's gonna be in
right.
it.
Yeah, I mean, again, like this made made me say like, crap. I might have to watch the movie now if they're gonna have a Michael Jordan cameo or something like that. Maybe just that part or something like that. I mean,
Right?
because I mean, here's the thing. I feel like this movie can only be so good. Like, like it could be like maybe a 7 at best. And but
Right.
that's like, I think the chances of it being a 7 are pretty low, and like a chances for it being like, like a 5 or lower or something like that, they're pretty high up there, I feel like, for this movie.
Yeah. Yeah, I want to get Bill Murray in this one as well. So
Right? Yeah.
he's the one
Might
that
as well.
saved the day in the original one.
He
So
was, which I mean, it's so funny. Just for whatever reason, Bill Murray's just like a great basketball player, like actually starring alongside
yeah.
actual real life basketball players. It wasn't like, I don't know, like Shaquille O'Neal coming in to save the day or something like that. But whatever. I
Yeah.
guess I guess that's what happens when
Uh,
I guess that's what happens when you're too busy making Kazam here and Shaq
true.
Fu.
True that. Yep. Rambo and John McClane may be headed to Call of Duty Warzone. Recently they took to Twitter. They even put out like a little, what do you want to call it, like a promo thing,
Kind of, yeah.
teasing John McClane and Rambo could be headed to Battle Royale, which I'm guessing they will be.
Mhm.
In my head, I was like, aren't they already in Fortnite? Aren't they already like? So,
Yeah. They Call of Duty apparently can't be outdone by Fortnite. Now, here's the thing. This actually makes a lot more sense. These guys showing up in Call of Duty Warzone than it does in Fortnite here, I mean, Fortnite,
oh yeah,
you got 6-year-olds playing that game. They don't know who any of these people are. Call of Duty, you got a little bit more of an older audience. So I feel like if you're actually going to, put somebody in there or something like that along those lines, this would probably be the place to do it.
yeah. Hey, Doran, did you know that everybody wants a Switch?
I mean, why wouldn't everybody want to switch here? Why
It's
wouldn't everybody?
God's chosen console. So, yeah.
All,
So, I mean, we kind of saw this during COVID that Switch sale, like you couldn't find them in stores for a while. So obviously sales went up. So basically they come out. It's the end of their fiscal year, and it's their most profitable year ever.
Yeah.
Profits were up 81%, and the current total for Switches sold is 85 million.
Yeah. Which, I mean, no, it's crazy considering how, like, we've only had this console for 4 years, and it's almost caught up to the PlayStation 4 here almost. I mean,
Yeah.
or at least,
Well, and,
it's in spitting distance now.
yeah. Well, and to put it in a more of a context, 230.9 million games were sold last year, and not only, but and 587.12 million have been sold total. So
Yeah.
almost half of all the games ever sold on Switch were sold last year.
Yeah, that's the one that really surprises me because, I mean, like, them selling a bunch of units last year, I'm like, yeah, no, duh, I remember that here. And, like, also Animal Crossing was pretty huge. So, makes total sense. This is like the fact that it almost half of their, software sales were basically generated by just last year alone is staggering. I figured, like, it would definitely be a pretty big number for, like, just games and sales and whatnot, but almost half, that's crazy to me. Especially
That's
considering
crazy.
how last year was a pretty slow year for software release for Nintendo here. I mean, the only games that really came out that I feel like were, like, kind of their big hitters were Animal Crossing and then Mario 3D All Stars for the most part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that, and there's like some good indie games that came out, but yeah, other than those are like the big ones.
Yeah.
This is interesting because now there's a Nintendo shortage. There's a Switch shortage because they can't make them fast enough due to a semiconductor shortage, which don't know what that is, but probably has to do with electricity.
That's a pretty good bet. I will say that.
Yeah. But thank you, COVID, for making Nintendo one of the best selling console of all time, basically. Now give us Breath of the Wild 2 because we supported you this last year. Now you got to support us.
Yep. I
and make it
agreed.
free.
Yeah. Yeah, no. You made enough money last year. It's fine. Just give everybody Breath of the Wild 2. But no, seriously, just give us Breath of the Wild 2. and Metroid Prime 4 for trouble too. I mean, it's like it's been a minute.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we got some more additions to the E3 roster. We got Square Enix, Sega Gearbox, Bandai Namco. They're all going to be there.
Yeah.
No official word on what games the company will bring to E3, but E3 starts June 12th, so pretty soon, about a month away.
Yep.
Yeah. Sega Gearbox?
Yeah.
Is this the Dreamcast successor, the Dreamcast 2?
Yeah, I like how you overlooked that comma in the show notes here. But I mean, nah, I mean,
I couldn't see it.
Oh, okay.
I didn't want to see it.
Yeah. No, I mean, here's the thing. The successor to the Dreamcast is the Dreamcast 2, spoken by
Yes.
the prophet Keith Apicary here, So if you don't know who that is,
he's streaming now, right?
Yep, he's streaming Minecraft now. Yep. I mean, I haven't had a chance to like really go and watch him. But anyhow, if you guys don't know who Keith Apicary is,
I mean, I don't like Minecraft.
Fair enough. But if you guys don't know who Keith Apicary is, go watch Talking Classics. It's great.
Good.
It's when YouTube actually was great, I guess, if you want to call it that. I don't know. But anyhow, yeah, I mean,
pre-ads.
Yeah, right. But yeah, I mean, so obviously this is good news for E3. You're actually getting more heavy hitters with that. I mean, I would fully expect to see probably some more footage from Final Fantasy 16 from Square Enix. Hopefully the next From Software game, the Dark Souls guys show off Elden Ring, because we haven't heard from that in a minute. So, because they're under Bandai Namco. So, fingers crossed. I mean, hopefully this is all going to be a good thing. Maybe like E3 might have a revival of some sort. Crazy. I don't know, but we'll see.
Probably not.
Probably not.
Yeah. Overwatch 2 is getting a 2-hour gameplay showcase coming up, not at E3, but it's going to air May 20th and show the PvP mode, which that's why people play this game.
Correct.
And how is this game not out yet? How is it not out yet? I don't get it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, well, yeah, just because, I mean, it's been a while since this game was officially announced here and all that, and I mean,
what was it, 14 years ago now?
No, like people have been campaigning for this game and waiting for this game before Overwatch 1 came out here. But I mean, at this rate, I mean, granted, they just lost their main director, but they replaced him with a new guy who's worked on Overwatch 1 a lot and all that. He's designed some of the maps, so he's taking the reins now. So maybe that's slowing things down, maybe not. But this game has to be out by next year. I mean, I can't imagine a world where it's not.
Don't hold your breath, Dorian.
Yeah, very true.
Don't hold your breath.
Yeah, I never do.
2028.
Yep. PlayStation 7.
Well,
baby.
That's it for our nerd news. Yeah, PlayStation 7. That's it for our nerd news. We're going to head into a roundtable review. Dorian, you got some Resident Evil stuff for us.
I do.
Take us through it.
So, Resident Evil 8, or it's called Village 8, Resident Evil. I don't know. The Japanese video game companies have like just a really bad way of naming things nowadays here. We got all sorts of weird stuff about that. But anyhow, so this is Resident Evil 8. I'm just calling it Resident Evil 8. So just kind of going over like what this game is. So it's a direct sequel to Resident Evil 7. So you have like some of the same characters that you had in the previous game. So it's mostly focused on, Ethan Winters, his wife, and also his newborn daughter and all that. So it's a first-person shooter survival horror game that takes place in a remote village, like kind of high up in like the snowy mountains of Europe and all that. And it's more combat and action focused than like the last game. Kind of similar to Resident Evil 4, and it's got gothic horror like Bloodborne. So in terms of like tone versus like the last game where it was like took place in
They
Louisiana.
got Barney.
They got them mods. Yeah, they got
and
them
Thomas
mods.
the Train.
They got Thomas the Train is always in some type of video game whatsoever. The modding community cannot leave that poor train alone here. So, just kind of going over briefly, what I actually played of this. Obviously, the multiplayer part of this has not come out yet, so I might do a roundtable review later on when that does come out. I haven't played the mercenary modes yet, so I just beat the campaign yesterday, so I'm kind of a little fresh off of it. So just kind of going over what I like about this game. The atmosphere definitely scratches that Bloodborne itch. I've been wanting a Bloodborne sequel for a long time. Haven't gotten it. This is probably the closest thing that you get to like kind of a similar type of setting and environment, for like Bloodborne, minus like the HP Lovecraft stuff here for the most part. You got you got a lot more options for combat. You got weapon upgrades, much more in depth than it was in the last game, because last game, for the most part, you felt kind of more, very underpowered, especially at the very beginning, which I get it. That's what they were going for. It was trying to make things a lot scarier when you're being chased by, these crazy people and stuff like that. And then you also got some memorable and unique villains and all that. You got tons of secrets to get, and you also get some answers for some of the questions about the last game here. So, all in all, like pretty solid pros. And then talking about what I'm not so crazy about, I mean, overall the story, it's not bad by any measure, really. It's actually, draws you in, has a good amount of intrigue. I just don't feel like it's as good as the previous game. I felt like it didn't like quite execute like some of the things that they were going for. There's a few plot twists in there that I felt like could have used maybe a little bit more build up or something like that to actually like knock it out of the park here or something like that. I mean, not that they're bad plot twists. I felt like needed a little bit more for like a payoff or something. And then after you beat a boss of one area, you can't really go back to that area to like go back and explore and get secrets here, which it's kind of a little bit of a pet peeve, just because, especially in a game like Resident Evil where ammo is very scarce and, you really got to manage your resources. Going back and trying to find, stuff that will help you give an edge on like the next, thing that you're going up against can be life or death here. So that kind of annoyed me, to be honest. And then, let's see here. And then kind of like the last game that came out, Resident Evil 7, this game doesn't do like a ton to really tie itself into the rest of the franchise. I mean, in all honesty, it could have been the last two games could have been its own IP. Just you would have to cut like some things that tie it together. But it could have been its own IP and it would have been fine here for the most part. Might have maybe even worked better as its own IP, to be honest with you out here. But overall, I mean, it's a solid outing for Resident Evil. It's, even if it's still, only kind of just loosely connected to the previous games. And all in all, I think it's solid. 8 out of 10.
Nice. All right. Well, that wraps us up for today. That's it. We're done. Thank you guys for listening. We greatly appreciate it. Check us out on all our social medias. Leave us a like and all that good stuff. Share with a friend. Subscribe. And have an awesome week. And remember, everyone's a nerd about something.